Good morning, this is Bruce and welcome to my shop. What we have here is a typical from time to time problem where you've produced a thread on this tool or on this part, and then the clients come along and said, well, we really want you to take that thread all the way down to the end here. So what you have to do is to come back and pick up the old thread and emulate that for the continuation through. Now, the machine diameter all the way through was the same, so we don't have an issue there. We don't have to pre-machine this down to the mean OD of the existing thread. So what we have to do is to pick that thread up, and the way we go about it, move that light maybe a bit more that way. The way we go about it is we select the thread, the correct combination to get that thread. In this case, it's a 2 millimeter thread. You can see that or not. So it's a 2 millimeter thread pitch. So we've set it up, and we then run the saddle forward, locked into the half nut. I work with the half nut locked all the time, and do forward and reverse. I have a luxury of having a good braking system, and spinning it out and going back and starting again. So we need to be on the driving position of the saddle. In other words, we can't be in reversing back. We've got to go forward so that we've picked up any backlash. And then what we do, I've already done this, so I'm just doing this to demonstrate. So then we come in, but let me even say, well, I'll change that. So I've come in and run it up a bit. We'll run it a fraction just to show what I mean. I'll just put that back in gear. Okay, we've run it, we're now going forward, and you can see there we're actually touching the top of the tip. I'll see if I can get a bit closer, if that'll focus up. So we're touching the top. So we adjust the compound until we get it in, and we can see that we're in the full depth of the root of the tool. So we can now lock up the saddle, the compound, to know that we're in there. Now what I'll do is I'll just run it forward a little bit more and just check 3 or 4 more threads. And we see that we're on song here. The depth, you can't see it here, but being shown on the DRO is the same depth that I had at this point. So I know what depth I've got to go to get to the full root dimension there. What I did prior to that, this is already the third one, so or the second one, sorry, that I'm doing. So I already know they're all the 3 the same. So I already know where my starting 0 is, and then I'll constantly work my way through. This is titanium, by the way, and this is a carbon fibre, a special compound fibre connected to it. So and in this back section here, that goes through deep inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a couple of runs. I don't want to bore you too much with this. Just do a couple of runs just to show you how I pick up that thread and continue it on there. And then I'll turn off the camera and I'll finish this off. So I'm running at, I've got it set up at 280 RPM on the 2 millimeter thing. So I run fairly quickly with my the way I work, but this is a comfort level that I have. It does not have to be the indication of what you want to do. So I'll go back to the start, and I'll go in the first step that I want to go from 0. I'm on 0 now. I'm going to go in about 0.75 of a millimeter, and we'll chase that down. I'm running through. Cut that off, we'll go back. And now we'll go back into what I'm going to go now about a millimetre deep. I can afford to go more, but I'm doing this for the purpose of showing you how we do that chasing exercise. I'm going to go down minus 1.5. And we keep repeating that. I use the top notch, the Canon metal top notch for both my internal and external standard standard threading. Now I'm going to go minus 1.8. We're carrying on like this. I'll get to the finish line. That was minus 1.6, 1.8. So there we go. There we have it. I'll just take that off there. Sorry about the shaking. Yeah, so we'll rinse that out. And now what I'll do is I'll just show you a couple of other items that are going on today as well. So it's really a mixture of our weekly peanuts and single malt. So I'll just swing around here. So I've had to retrim this back a bit more. This is one I've already chased down. We've got a new pump arrived, and that's going to go onto my my big bandsaw outside, which is badly damaged. This is my connector piece that I use for connecting the these heads, the diametrical heads, to my tailstock. This one I'm going to be machining a flat on it to be able to lock it in with these things. Now this particular adapter belongs to a larger head. This is an 1.25 inch head. This one's for a 2-inch head, 1.25 inch head. So I've got to make another one of those. That's going to be coming up. Moving along over here, we've got a setup. I'm remachining these impellers, so I've already machined the internal part, and these two here and the external. So whatever I machine down here, I have to machine at this point and that point, and drop the counterbore down the same depth. So in this particular case, you can see I machined 1.5 millimeters off there. So I've also machined 1.5 millimeters off this part of the poly, that part of the poly, and the stainless, and the counterbore. Up here I've got the jig set up. So this morning, after years of doing this sort of work and having to use a socket spanner and so forth, I made up my own little one. I just took an old socket and a flange nut, and TIG welded a little handle to a screw, made it a thread inside. TIG welded that handle, so that's now a much quicker arrangement for me. So what happens is, in order for me to do this counterboring, I'll take one of these. It'll come up into the jig, and they match up. Those holes match up on these steps. I'll just swing it around here. They match up on the steps. That'll come down inside. Then the two plates, I'm on top of the plates at the moment, those two plates fit down, nut goes on, and then I use this this counterbore for counterboring each one of those. So there's 6 times 15 all up here to do. So there's a fair bit of undoing and doing up. more parts for the Tru-Line 88 that I'm working on at the moment. Another piece up here on this mill. And that's just about it, I think. Everything else seems to be travelling along all right. There's a jig I made up last week, and I showed that this is a jig I made for making the extra long sockets. That's about it. We've set up our thing. We're now going to be doing a lineup to get the 100% trueness of the Tru-Line 88 for this particular model of machine. And we're also going to be fitting onto it a scale. So the scale we have here is going to be going on to the Tru-Line, or probably facing this way. So that'll be facing vertically on, facing so that we can see the digital readout from here. It doesn't give a lot to the mill, but it does help. It gives us that Z dimensioning. So if there's repetitive work that's got to be, the head's got to be raised and lowered, we'll be offering the same item with the Tru-Line 88 for the RF 30, 32s, etc., etc. Thanks for watching.